This is Ron Wills, and I'm coming back at you with yet another video. Today, I'm going to talk about black men refusing to be cleanup men. Yeah, been observing the situation in social media, the community, YouTube, everything with many black men speaking out and speaking up about their relationship experiences. And there's one common theme in it. Basically, the nice guys are rebelling. The cleanup men are rebelling. Now, to understand what's happening now, we have to have some context for it. One of the things I talk about in all of my books is the female selection criteria. Now, I've applied it to overall Western society, and everybody has a basic understanding of it, even though they'll use different terms. For example, in Western culture, they'll use the terms alpha male and beta male. However, the terms I used are more specific to the black community, and that's what I'm talking about here. So just understand this is a Western phenomenon, but we're talking specifically about the black community now and the reaction of certain black men to that female selection criteria. Now, the black female selection criteria basically states that women put men into two different categories for dating and relationships: select and non-select. The select men, hey, those are the ones who are like living a honeymoon with black women. They're getting the sex, they're getting the attention, they're getting the respect. The men who are non-select, they aren't getting those things. Now, before any black woman tries to deny that's the case, understand that I've been presenting that whole female selection criteria to black women since 1998. In that time, in all those years, I've only had one black woman to deny its existence. One. And the reality is, she's not an American black woman. And she's a type of woman. She's someone I still talk to every now and then. She's the type of woman who, as long as a man approaches her with some respect, she will give him the time of day. But other than her, no black woman has denied this black female selection criteria. Now, to understand it, you have to go back to high school, or maybe even earlier than that, when women hit puberty. Once a black girl hits puberty, she will have a strong desire to mate with the dominant men in her environment. For a young girl, this translates into two guys. One, the guy who's like real popular and has the status. It might be the star basketball player, or depending on the school and level of class, maybe the class president, something like that. Whoever the most popular boy is. That's one level. And on a deeper level, whoever the cutest boys are. It's pure physical. Now, the men who aren't in those two categories, they usually come up short. And you usually have maybe the guys who, they don't look as good, they're not popular, but they're aggressive. Those are the guys who, they'll find out which women are putting out, so to speak. Those are ones who, as they would say in Baltimore, are dummies. They'll look for those like easy girls. Or, a lot of times, or somebody who's vulnerable, or these are guys who want to tell lies to get that pussy. And then they're the nice guys. These are the nerds, the squares, the guys who, they're not handsome, they're not popular. The only thing they have going for them is they hitting the books. And even then, because one of the things they find out is that doesn't really concern a young girl of 14. She wants that popular guy, she wants that handsome guy. So what you have, maybe from the ages of 14 to roughly 30, you have black women chasing a very small group of men. Now, the numbers for that men range, depending on who you talk to, from 5% to 20% and to a real generous 35%. but I would put it personally around 10 to 15% in this day and age. Anyway, they chasing after these guys. They throwing themselves at these guys. Now here's the angle coming from the perspective of those little boys. Those, you got a 17-year-old boy. He got all these girls throwing themselves at him. All these girls in their prime state, in their prime sexuality, throwing themselves at him. Plus, and this is a whole separate video, maybe a few of their female teachers and some of the more skankier women in their neighborhood. Yeah, that's definitely another video. So, the popular boys, the ones in the select group, they are going to develop two things: an ego and really a disregard for the feelings of these girls, because they don't have to be nice to them. If you got 10 girls throwing themselves at you with that, you don't have to go out your way to be nice to them. You don't have to try to impress them. If one ain't down for the program, there's 9 more. And usually around this time, what happens is these women get dogged. Basically, a boy, he can just use them. He can just use them and keep going. Well, what's she gonna do? She gonna say, "Oh, if you don't act right, I ain't gonna give you no pussy"? Shit. She gonna find somebody else. He gonna find somebody else. Please. And he don't have to be nice. In fact, he can be arrogant. He can be whatever. In fact, he's going to be arrogant. Damn, he got a teacher trying to suck his dick or something. A married teacher at that. So he's going to be arrogant. And, being arrogant, self-centered, if you want to be a dog, they're going to dog out these little girls. Now, just to be fair, all the boys with that, with the looks and the status ain't going to be dogs. But let's just be real. For all but a tiny percentage of girls, these men, these little boys, are relationship dead ends. And usually if somebody starts off that way, getting play like that, it is going to keep going into adulthood, even until their deaths. That's why you have some 80-year-old men still on that game. Or that's why you got some 35-year-old men, they still chasing all the girls, because all the girls still throwing it out. And from the woman's perspective, she getting dogged. Even if he ain't intentionally trying to dog her, he ain't regarding her feelings. He's dismissing her like she's the maid, because he don't have to worry about it. So what happens is, a lot of times they get pregnant. A lot of times they definitely get emotionally hurt. So you got two problems right there. You got a woman who's developing some serious baggage. So much so she might need a U-Haul to carry that shit around. And then she's going to be left with a couple babies, a couple pretty babies, but babies nonetheless. So what happens? She started to get a little bit of sense. And, well, before I even get to that point, once a little girl is imprinted, and I get deeper into that whole imprint thing on my private site, but once a little girl is imprinted by a certain type of boy, she's going to have a tendency to always go for that type of person. So if a little girl is imprinted by the local pretty boy, thug, and that sometimes happens, that's what she's always going to go for. Or she imprinted by that dude who, he's just no good. That's what she's always going to go for. And I challenge any woman to tell me otherwise. They will always go for the type of guy that imprinted them, took that virginity. So she does that, she gets dogged. So not only she got dogged by that first guy, but she got dogged by the next 10. And she's constantly looking for, that feel good, that pleasure and all of that, because, her body's used to it. Her body's addicted. At some point, and this point is usually after you have that ton of baggage, after she has the 2 kids by the 2 different daddies, she decides she needs a different type of man. She goes to church, she gets Jesus, Allah, Buddha, Great Pumpkin, whoever, and decides she's going to go for a different type of man. Now, she already found out the hard way that the pretty boys and the status guys are relationship dead ends. And usually what happens is she started that guy who was the nerd, the square, the lame in high school. Shoot. Since he ain't had, he ain't had to focus on a bunch of women chasing after him, and he ain't had nothing to do with his time. Shoot, that's usually the one who ends up being a professional or something. That's the one who has time to work on his business. So, when she hit her 30s and he hit his 30s, shoot, she got all this baggage and kids. And this dude, he got the home, car, whatever. What happens is, and this is something very prevalent, they want that, they looking for that man to save them. They looking for that Captain Saberhawk. They trying, in fact, you even have memes out there trying to shame that man into taking care of that woman who got kids by another man. And the bad part is, she don't look as good as she used to look. So it's like, you asking this man, one, to ignore his basic needs, like on a physical basis. You asking him to raise another man's child, and which can be a problem in itself, because here's a reality. Once a man has sex with a woman, unless he just hates her guts, he at some level, he always think he can go back and get it. So a man, if he trying to raise some other man's child, not only he got to deal with a child who might be rebellious or might be some badass kid, but he got to deal with the baby daddy who want to come around and still get some. So that's a reality. And then you dealing with the emotional baggage. You dealing with how often she got dogged and everything, because ain't no woman going to get dogged by 4 or 5 pretty boys or something and not come out of it emotionally scaffed. It ain't happening. So they asking this man not only to take care of her, but to heal her. And, to their credit, there's some men who sign up for it. They like, yes, we want to heal this black woman. Well, basically, they can't get any other woman, so, they're going to settle for this one. And if she managed to keep herself in, like, decent shape, shoot, he might think, all right, well, she got a couple kids. But here's the thing. A lot of times, even though he doing all this for her, she does not treat him the same way that she treated those pretty boys she used to deal with. She ain't the same way. Nah, he ain't, even if she keeps her shape, she ain't gonna wear that Victoria's Secret, She ain't gonna deep throat him. Let's keep it raw. She ain't gonna deep throat him. She might sit there and, she ain't gonna wanna have sex with him all the time. Shoot, she might not be fixing that meal for him or whatever. In fact, he might not even be the priority. She might be straight up. The kids are gonna be the priorities. So we're sitting here and we're just like, wow. And what's happening is, because usually in these cases, the man, he'll jump in there, be that cleanup guy, and the woman still ain't satisfied because she's still addicted to Mr. Goodbar. And the man finds out the hard way. He doing all this for her, and then he gets smart one day. He come home early from work without telling her, and he got some young boy up in his bedroom, or something like that. Or he find out that that dude that lived down the street, they got all the women also making house calls to his house too. Or he find out something, and end up divorcing her and everything, and getting half his shit or something like that, and he's still taking care of her. What's happening now? Black men are talking. All men are talking, really, but this is just focused on black men, because let's just be clear before anybody say, well, white people do it too. Oh yeah, they talking. Hell, they talking even more. Shoot, they getting organized. Men on that side getting organized, and shoot, let's not talk about what they're doing in Japan. Now, what's happening through videos, through social media, through conversations in barbershops, black men are talking to each other about these situations. And they not signing up. They're not signing up. They're refusing to clean up after Mr. Goodbar. They're refusing. And, women trying to and that's why a lot of women are getting mad because of that. You had your fun and then seriously expect this other guy to want to take care of them. And the shit ain't happening like that. So you have a situation where the cleanup men are straight up rebelling. I mean, and this has been a big theme. In fact, I'm not actually surprised. I'm not actually surprised because I saw this coming back in the late '90s. I saw it coming before social media really took off. I saw it coming because I wrote a book. It's a manuscript now. It's a manuscript. It's not even saved on any type of disc or anything because it was so inflammatory. And basically, in the book, nice guys went on strike and stopped cleaning up after like everybody's messes. They said, hell no, we're not gonna clean up after like, the popular guys and all of that who leaving kids all over the place, and we're not gonna clean up or try to save these women who are trying, they want us to take care of their kids that they have by other men, but then don't treat us like shit. Nah. And I wrote that, but I said, nah, I can't put that book out. That's gonna be too inflammatory. Lo and behold, it's happened anyway. I was a prophet and I didn't even know it. And I've told a couple people about that recently, and they were just like, hey, Rom, you put it out. In fact, one friend, he was like, dude, I'll type it up for you. But it's a real thing. It's a real thing. And that's what we have now. That's why, a lot of women saying these black men are bashing and everything. It's like, no, they ain't really bashing. Nothing happens in a vacuum. They can't figure out why. No, nothing happens in a vacuum. There is a reason for everything. Men in general react to what women put out. It really shouldn't be that way, and I always encourage men to set an agenda, and women need to, but the reality is men respond to what women put out. These men are reacting to being that cleanup man, or, being the man cheated on, or being the man that works hard, only to find out that their woman is cheating with the good man. They're rebelling, and they refusing. That's everything. If you look at everything, no matter what they talking about in the video, whether it's like having more self-esteem, developing more, leaving certain women alone, or especially leaving single mothers alone, regardless of what it is, the men are refusing to be cleanup men. And you can't tell them that they should. You can't tell them, because the thing about these cleanup men, the reason why they even sought after as cleanup men is because they did the right thing. They stayed out of trouble. They kept their credit good. They went to school. They did everything society told them they were supposed to do. But they didn't, the women weren't feeling them. The women were playing them. The women were calling them lame. But then when the women get in that bad position where they need that guy, all of a sudden it's like, oh, he should want to take care of me. Nah, it don't work that way. And I'm gonna make a confession. I really wasn't one of those, like, even though I always say I'm nerdy and all that stuff, I really wasn't one of those guys. I was more of a bad guy with nerdy tendencies. So I understand. So I see it now. I'm coming from the other side. I was just smart enough to, keep a condom on. And the only kids I know about are the ones, I had under regular circumstances. So, and I don't ask anybody else to take care of my sons. But, I understand where a lot of these guys are coming from. I'm hearing their stories. They talking to me privately. And I'm thinking to myself, damn. Now, how can I tell this man, oh yeah, he should go take care of that woman who ain't sexy no more, got a bad disposition, and got 3 badass kids? I can't tell him that. Shoot, I wouldn't ask a man to take care of my children. Just on a for real. I wouldn't ask another man to do that. But that's what's being asked of these men. These men are asked to put, their hard work, everything they worked hard for, just to deal with somebody who's going to have some baggage, who probably ain't even going to treat them right. Nah. Men ain't signing up for it. And they letting you know. And, getting from this video, the thing I want y'all to get from this video is it's happening. We have to know. Whether or not something can be done about it. I'll say this. And I'm just going to keep it 100% raw. Just going to keep it 100% raw. Sometimes our mistakes, our choices live with us the rest of our lives, and we can just make do. But I just wanted to let y'all know, hey, that's just the thing. And a lot of men are gonna resonate with it. Hey, it's gonna piss off some other people, but you know what? I deal in truth. So that's it for today. I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.